Hello, this is Rachel from 7 and All, and today in this video I'm going to be giving you a thorough look inside Mystery of History Volume 3, both the student reader as well as the companion guide. These are the two big parts of this curriculum, the two major parts of this curriculum, and this is a history curriculum that's designed to be able to be used family style, roughly 1st through 12th grade. You are able to include younger students as well as older students, but I will say from our family's experience of this and use of this, and also what the author herself says, is it's most closely targeted at kind of a 4th through 8th grade age range. We are currently using it with our middle schooler. We have used it with a past middle schooler. And I think as you get into it and you see it, you might see how this could be definitely much if you only have younger elementary students. But yeah, we're gonna dive in and take a look. I will first show you the student reader, and then we're gonna dive into the companion guide, because this can kind of be the more confusing part that needs a little bit more explanation, and it has a lot of very, very valuable pieces and parts within this. So I want to be able to take the time to explain that. But let's just take a look so that you can see what you're reading to your student. Here, we got our, and this is volume 3, so it's Renaissance, Reformation, and Growth of Nations. This is a Christian history curriculum. Church history is incorporated throughout world history. It's separated into semesters and quarters, and at the beginning of each quarter, you kind of get this little summary segment of what in general is going on during this time period. What's the general, it's just a real quick little summary of what you're about to dive into. Then you get into your lessons, and this is meant to be read aloud if you are doing this family style. This could also be a book that you're handing to your student and your student is reading to themselves. So here we have lesson 1. You can see it is more of a traditional textbook style. We have important words and names and people bolded in the text to help those stand out to the student as, hey, try to remember this. Try to remember this name. You do have quite a few pictures, and you can see a lesson itself is very short. It's a handful of pages, but the pages are fairly dense and fairly information filled. We're learning, this history is incorporating art, science, history of course, politics, wars, the church. You definitely get many, many streams of history represented and wound together within these lessons. I'm just trying to give you a little look. Okay, we're getting up to Isabella, Ferdinand, Spanish Inquisition. We have a couple of pages here. And continue going, and at the beginning of the lesson, you can see what are the target years that are being discussed, what is the main time of whatever's happening. So it's a balance of text and photos, but there is a good chunk of text on the page. And that's one of the reasons why I would say I wouldn't lean toward using this in the early elementary years, but would wait until a child is really old enough to get more out of it. That's where I would lean and how we have used this. So that's a peek into what to expect from the student reader. Now let's talk about the companion guide, because here we're really going to see what it would be like to use this curriculum in its completeness, in all kind of like how it's designed to be used. You can, of course, always adapt any curriculum. You can think what parts and pieces you want to use and what parts and pieces you don't want to use as befits the needs of your family. But let's take a look at how it's designed to be used. First of all, Mystery of History itself is a 4-volume, kind of typical, the classical idea of going through world history in 4 different periods, and this is the 3rd period. So it's covering 1455 to 1707. Then the author does a great job right here of laying out all the steps that it takes to go through roughly a week of lessons in Mystery of History. and I will show you how it's set up. It's scheduled by week, which of course in real life, maybe you do take a week, maybe you take a little bit longer to finish it. But it is set up by week, and it's divided into 28 weeks, which definitely will give you some wiggle room within the typical school year of 36 weeks. You've got some space to take a little bit longer or have something else going on and adding to whatever you're studying, if you're wanting to add in extras. But within a week, you have a pre-test that you start with, which is really quick. You can do that right before reading the first lesson. Then you have 3 lessons that you read. Then you will have a review at the end of the 3rd lesson, and then either an exercise or a quiz or some type of assessment or opportunity to show what you have learned. And at the end of each quarter, you have a worksheet that you're working on. So there are some of these more traditional types of assessments woven into this course where you actually do get to quiz or show what you've learned on a worksheet. And all of those worksheets are included in this companion guide. I will show those to you as we go. Also, I should mention that the companion guide is available as a PDF as well, which may be more convenient, may be less convenient, depending on your situation. Okay, so let's get started. Step 1 is every quarter begins with one of those 1-page quick summaries of what you're about to learn. That just happens at the beginning of a quarter. Quick little summary to know what's coming ahead. Then each week we'll begin with a pre-test. A pre-test is a just 9-question little test that's kind of giving students a glimpse into what they're about to learn. Students are not expected to be able to get all the answers right on this pre-test because it's a pre-test. It's talking about the people and the events and what they're about to learn about. It's just kind of trying to see where your student is. Do they have any knowledge of this time period and this area yet? So once you've gone over your pre-test for the week, and that might be something that you just do orally as a family, I will show you the pre-tests in just a few minutes. But after you've taken your pre-test, then you have your lessons. There will be, as I showed you, 3 lessons to read during the week. And each lesson comes with suggested activities, which are right in this companion guide. The activities are divided up into activities for younger students, middle students, and older students. And there's a wealth of them. There is a variety of them. You will not expect at all to do all of the activities. You might decide you want to pick 1 for each lesson, or maybe you want to pick 1 for each week, or 2 for each week. However you determine to do it, it's definitely a good idea to incorporate some activities, but you're definitely not intended to do all of them. Another part of the program is that you're making memory cards. These are not cards that are provided to you. These are cards that you are making as you go along. And you're typically expected to make 1, maybe index card for each lesson. And you're writing an important key fact to remember from each lesson. And then you save those, and you can take, maybe once a week you go over your memory cards. Maybe twice a week you go over your memory cards, but memory cards are an important part of this program, and they will be mentioned throughout the lessons. And sometimes they give you, actually, the teacher's guide itself, companion guide itself, will give you ideas on what maybe to pull out and write for those memory cards. And you are also supposed to draw a little visual stick figure thing for those cards as well. Then at the end of your week, you get a review. Take another look. Reviews, which may include mapping exercises. There are a lot of maps included, and you have map work integrated into this program. Then these alternate. So at the end of every other week, you'll either have an exercise or a quiz. They just alternate between exercises and quizzes. And these are reviews of what you learned, a chance for the student to show what they know and show what they remember. Comes at the end of the week. Then quarterly worksheets. Once a quarter, you get a worksheet that's going back over everything covered in the quarter. And there are also semester tests. So again, depending on the age of your child, you might choose to include these. You might choose to work through them together as a family, or if with an older child, you definitely might choose to give them in a more traditional test manner after they've studied from their timelines and their memory cards. In the very back of the companion guide, you will find a lot of suggestions for extra books, extra resources that you can dive into to expand on the topics that you're covering. So if you're wanting to spend, maybe take more time on a certain subject, or you're wanting to dive in deeper, there's plenty of book recommendations. And then one thing also to mention is that the author recommends using student notebooks. So when you're doing the activities for each lesson, she recommends, having a way to organize and save those and work on building a student notebook as you progress through Mystery of History. She suggests that if you get a large binder, you could continue to use the same student notebook throughout all of your journey through history, through volumes 1 through 4, and you just keep adding your projects and your activities that you've created, building up a portfolio of what you've learned and experienced together with history. So that's an overview of all kind of the elements that become part of this. Here's an example of what a memory card might be. Maybe you're just writing a little bit on it if you have a younger student. If you have more of a high school student, maybe there's more complexity that's being written. And they also suggest drawing in some stick figures or drawing in some visuals. Now I'm going to show you what you can find in the lessons themselves. So this is what a pre-test looks like. Here, it's very simple. Who or what am I? And then you're choosing answers from a word bank. Now, if your children have no experience with history yet, they're going to look at this and be like, who is Cosimo de' Medici? We don't know. We don't know the Medici family. We don't know what's going on here, and that's okay. But maybe if your children have already read some of this history, this is going to trigger some memories that they have of what they've already learned about this period in history. Then you get to your activity suggestions. So activities for level 1. They have suggestions for all students, which here it is, view footage of the Tower of London on the internet. They'll have websites that you can visit. They have different hands-on activities. Here's a craft for younger students, or for middle students. They have a flip chart for different different houses, House of York, House of Lancaster, and all the different ones learned about in this lesson. This was actually one of the activities that my middle school sister did when she did this lesson. Then for older students, they might end up suggesting works of literature that they could read. Sometimes they suggest research opportunities and more complex. Older students are more going to be the high school age students. So these are your activities that you could use to expand this into a high school level history program. Then we move on to activities for lesson 2 and activities for lesson 3. So again, they have some that are more like hands-on crafts, others that are more paper opportunities to just put onto paper what you've learned or investigate further. Then you come to your review at the end of the week. Now, in your review at the end of the week, that's where you're going to find your prompts for, they call it Wall of Fame. Basically, what should you be adding to your timeline? Which you could choose to have a timeline in a book. You could choose to have a timeline on a wall. However you choose to do it, this is your prompts for, okay, add in these dates and these events or these people to your timeline. Then beyond timeline work, you are also doing some map work as well, and they also have that divided into all students or younger, middle, and older students. So different expectations depending on your child. So maybe you're doing this on the last day of the week after you've read all 3 lessons, and then you can have a quick exercise. What did you miss? Here, and it does, with these exercises, it does prompt you to say, hey, you can use your book for assistance to find the right answer. And it's giving you 2 choices, and you have to circle the correct one. Then we move on to week 2, which follows the same pattern. Now, we have these for all the lessons in the books, all 28 scheduled weeks. Then, further on in the companion guide, you have all your outline maps, and these are things that you can copy for all of your students to do individually. You can copy them to work on them together as a family, and you'll be prompted which map you're using with which lesson or which week, and as you do those reviews, you're labeling finding different things on the maps. And don't worry, yes, there are answers. There are maps that have the labels on them. They come in the teacher's guide right after the blank maps. So you can copy out the blank maps and use those. There are various templates for some of the craft projects listed. And then, yeah, at the very end, you start to find your extra books or extra resources that you can add on to. And that is Mystery of History. So it is a textbook-based history program that offers quizzes and tests and some of those traditional elements. It's a classical program that fits into the 4-year history cycle. But it also gives you as a teacher lots of easy ideas for hands-on activities to bring history to life. It incorporates timeline work, map work, memory work through your memory cards, as well as opportunities to add on additional literature. So I hope that this was helpful to see a look inside if you are looking for an upper elementary or middle school history program. And I'll be seeing you next time. Give this video a like if you find it helpful. Thank you so much. Bye.